Callum Jones. Hey guys, just wondering what your opinion is on Catherine Ryan's show with the cameras that are backstage. How realistic are the comedians being because they still seem reserved? Because I think it's because they know the cameras are there. Love the pods. Love the pod. Keep it up. That's from Callum. Very weird to see an idea you've had for a TV show made into a TV show. Not that it was a fucking groundbreaking idea. I had this idea ages ago of like, God, wouldn't it be great if you mic'd up and filmed a proper dressing room and then showed the gig that happened on stage and sort of
I've had the same idea before.
Yeah.
Because it's a great idea.
It's a great idea. However, and I'm not having to go all TV people and all TV producers because there's some amazing talent in TV. They are controlling, boring, stifling fucks. So they go, we don't want it to not be good. So what we'll do is we'll fucking manufacture it, set it up, make it really cringy. So it basically looks like Made in Chelsea round the back of the fucking comedy club. And from the clips I've seen, some fucking great comics. Sean, who's one of my favourite ever guests, Sean Walsh is now Hall of Fame with the pod. And you could see the interaction. And you're like, yeah, it's Sean's on TV and he's with Catherine Ryan and it's all, It's not the real backstage, is it?
I've seen a lot. I haven't watched it yet. I've seen a lot of good comments about it, to be honest with you.
But it's popular.
But to the person who asked this question, you know, if you haven't noticed anything particularly sort of groundbreaking there. Any TV that is funded and has sponsors and as Ofcom regulated is all that. Of course, the comics aren't being themselves. If you watch any TV show and then watch what we do here, there's a reason this thing has taken off to the degree it has. It's because this is literally as uncensored as comedians ever get. Podcasts, especially podcasts that are owned and ran by comedians. You're never going to ever get TV shows that allow you to do what we do in here. And that's why, and I hope they never do, because then we lose our USP and the reason people are watching us much more than they're watching telly.
One of the things me and Adam said when we started this podcast was we'll talk like we do in dressing rooms.
Yeah.
We'll talk to each other, make each other laugh like comics do in dressing rooms. It's why this has been successful, because we haven't got a boss. So we get, like, also, if you ever see us edit something, like, out of a conversation, don't be like, oh, yeah, they're being fucking pussies. It's because it's usually about someone specific and that we know.
We've named them. And
it's going to either really upset them or cause a fucking load of bitching that we don't need, because we're doing very well and the rest of the circuit knows it. Some people are very happy for us. Other people, not so much. So what's the point in terms of the comedy we try and do on here, we are just trying to make each other laugh like comics do in dressing rooms where everyone trusts each other. Like, Catherine Ryan's fucking brilliant, by the way. Sean Walsh is great. I saw all the names that they got on. They got on some good comics. They can't fuck around like that on a major TV show.
No, they're never going to be able to do it. So,
What channel is it?
It's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, so it's probably less so then?
It'll be less so than the BBC, but it'll still be a bit shiny. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is, like, yeah, of course, they're still being censored because they're self-censoring. And also, all their agents are there. And if they say something off-colour that their agent is like, agents are really sort of fannies. They don't want their clients to get in any trouble. Every time I go on a night out and my agent knows I'm going, he says, stay out of prison and stay out the papers. That's his, like, catchphrase.
Oh, it's like taking your accountant to a stag do. They've got to be the sensible one, haven't they?
Yeah, that's what you're paying them for. So, like, if their clients say anything off colour or like out of line or just type of stuff we say on here, and their agent sees it, they ask it for it to be removed because they don't want to deal with the messages of people going, your client said this and whatever. You're never ever going to get a true reflection of what comics are like, even on here. We're as uncensored as you can be, but there's still worse things that get said in the green room because this goes on the internet and anyone can fucking see it. Yeah. Some of the things me and Carl say, if mine and Carl's text messages ever get leaked, it all goes to shit. We get put in prison.
That's not all dressing rooms, by the way. It's just the dressing rooms where it's your mates.
Yeah.
Because there are some dressing rooms where you're like, I trust you as far as I can fucking throw you. Hi, how you doing? Yeah, I'm sure it was tough. I'll see about that.
I've watched the Sean's episode. I thought I'd give it a watch. I think that's the first one. And you bang on in terms of the dressing room isn't anywhere near what anything that I've experienced in dressing rooms is like. But there is the odd moment of genuine sincerity. So there's a moment where Sean comes off stage, he's just done his set, and Jimmy Carr's like, nice one, great set. And you can see Sean's genuine like, oh, cheers, mate. It's a nice moment. So you've got that. You're not getting the kind of dirty jokes or any like banter, but you get those moments of sincerity, kind of peek behind the curtain.
Because comics at every level, apart from some of the when you're very, very first doing your first open spots, that's a little bit, there's too many of those acts, and up the ladder a little bit. There is a real camaraderie between comics. Like Jimmy Carr is a big noise, came on here, gave us some stick. It was a great episode. People loved parts of it. It got an amazing reaction. If you're on a bill with him, he's very complimentary. Michael McIntyre was incredibly complimentary to me. I work with guys who've been doing it for 3 years. I've worked with guys who are doing it 30 years. There is a really nice camaraderie amongst 95% of comics. And even if they are a bit cunty in their heart, people have worked out now that in a dressing room and behind the scenes and in and around a gig, the cunts have lost that game. It used to be really bitchy when I started out. The Jongleurs dressing rooms were horrible. It's much more supportive now. Maybe there's a little bit of slagging off behind people's backs, but at least people have got the good grace to be nice. That's nice that that's sort of captured, because Jimmy Carr would probably be very complimentary of me or Adam or any act that was on that bill. But the real moments where the fun bit of a dressing room is talking shop. Like, what are the rules of a dressing room?
Taking the piss out of each other.
Taking the piss out of each other, talking shop. Basically, you're in a little controlled environment where it's just people who know your little controlled industry. And the fun is talking shop. Because if I go back to Laura and start talking shop, she's got a minute before she glazes over and she's like, what are you on about? Yeah, I'm telling the wrong person. When comics get together, they can have a right old good chat about what the gigs they've seen, who's died, and that's always fun as well. I don't know if you'll ever be able to get that fun over.
You won't. You won't. Because it's only the way it is in a dressing room because no one else gets to see it. That's what makes it acceptable and okay and fun, and you say the worst things because you know the other three people in the room know who you are and it can't be misinterpreted. You know how they're going to interpret everything you say and do, and you understand that it's a friendship bond, and it's a very sort of comic thing to do, to be horrible to someone you love and overly nice to someone you don't like. That's a very common way of life. You've got to be able to, it has to be literally secluded for that to work properly. And going, oh, another thing you all do, you're horrible to each other, but you actually really like each other and you rate each other and you talk all this shit, and let's put that on camera on one of the biggest streaming platforms in the world. It's never going to be a true representation of it. But I'd imagine it's quite a good concept for the show, and it'll do really well, especially comparative to the rest of TV, because it will be slightly more sort of loose than a panel show or something like that. It'll be slightly more comics being honest and saying things genuinely off the cuff than Mock the Week and things like that. I'd imagine it'll do quite well, and it'll get a few series, that. I
think they've picked the right person as well. I think Catherine Ryan
she's great.
She's fucking class, and she's sound. Like, really sound. She was so complimentary. She asked Adam to support her in Blackpool, and then he couldn't do it, so he got me on. And she so loves the podcast. She's like, oh my God, yeah, I saw the clip with the guy who was talking about his brother with autism. And she was literally, such a weird moment to be at a massive theatre. I think we were at the Blackpool Grand or something. And she's telling me how she showed her husband the clip and he was absolutely pissing himself. And you're like, what is going on here? Like, one of the biggest names in... She's fucking massive in the States. She's pretty big in the States as well, isn't she, Catherine Ryan? Just like telling me how great the Dr. Catford clip is. Jamie, there's some weird moments with this podcast. But having Catherine Ryan tell you how fucking funny Jamie Hutchinson is, it's just like, I love what we've created. Dan, can I talk to you about that ginger weirdo? Yes, you can, mate. Yeah, she's great. She's great. I love she's one of them names where I'm glad they went with her. And I'm not slagging off Jimmy Carr, but I think Jimmy Carr and his class of comics have had so much of this. I'd rather see Catherine Ryan or Ramesh or whatever, because it's not that long ago that they were on the circuit. I know she's massive now, but I remember gigging with her. So, good question.
I remember a few years ago offering Catherine Ryan 120 quid to come and close the Brook House in Liverpool on a Sunday, and she considered it.
Oh my God.
She replied and was like, I'm trying to make this work, I'll let you know in the next few days. And then
I love that. It's
the Brook House.
It's obviously a lot of time has gone by and everything, but it doesn't feel like that long ago. Mate, I booked John Oliver to close the Frog. It still fucking freaks me out when I think about it.
So ridiculous.
He's genuine. I mean, I don't know how big John Oliver is. It's hard to gauge it, but he's one of the most famous comics in the States, isn't he? Because of
his show?
Because of his show and because of what he did on The Daily Show. I booked him to close the Frog.